at the end of one lecture, I decided I would ask a question. And this was after I'd been a devotee for maybe a year or so. And I wanted to, I figured that maybe I could get a little association with my spiritual master by asking a question in class, because I wasn't one of the devotees who regularly had association with Prabhupada. So when he said any questions after the Bhagavatam class, I raised my hand and he called on me. And I was very surprised. In fact, I was shocked. And what I had in mind to ask him about was that I had been thinking that in the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says he speaks the Bhagavad-gita many times. So I had a query as to whether the Bhagavad-gita is always spoken by Krishna within the same leela of Krishna being with Arjuna on the chariot in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And so that was what I wanted to ask him. But I was right at the back of the temple room, and I knew I wouldn't have much time, and I was very nervous. So all I said was, does Krishna speak the Bhagavad-gita on the hellish planets? And everybody kind of, I don't know, I thought they laughed or something. They thought it was a funny question. But Srila Prabhupada asked Bhagavan, what did she say? And Bhagavan repeated the question to him. And his answer was, yes, this London is a hellish planet, and Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita here. So at first, I have to say, I was, because I had a big false ego, I felt kind of disappointed because I didn't get the answer to what I really wanted to know. But it was such a valuable instruction, as everything Prabhupada says is so valuable. And over the years, I got so much out of it. Because later on I read at the end of the Bhagavad-gita where Sanjay says that by the mercy of my spiritual master, Srila Vyasadeva, I have been able to hear the Bhagavad-gita directly from the mouth of Lord Krishna, and because of this I'm feeling ecstasy. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that we can only hear directly from Krishna by the mercy of the spiritual master, and that whenever we hear from the spiritual master Bhagavad Gita, we are hearing directly from Krishna. So everybody, we're all hearing directly from Krishna by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, and also another thing instruction and I got from that was that I was thinking London was such a great place, you know, cultural, nice place to be. Prabhupada was telling me that actually this is hellish, you know. This is a hellish place. I was, as I said, I was only 15 then, and I was 15 when I joined the temple. And what happened was I was one of the kids who decided they would run away from home to join the temple. And so circumstances were such that I was convinced that this was the right thing to do. And the devotees were urging me, well, some devotees were saying, yeah, just come and join the temple. This was in London. Some devotees were saying, we'll take you to New York or something. And other devotees were saying, well, it might not be such a good idea, you know. So I was a bit confused, and someone suggested, why don't you write to Srila Prabhupada and ask him? So I did. I wrote to Prabhupada and asked him, I told him I'd really like to leave home, run away from home, but I'm underage. My parents are a real obstacle to my Krishna consciousness. I'm not happy, like that. Well, I sent the letter off, and things got really bad at home, and I was young and impulsive, and I felt I couldn't wait. I didn't know if I'd even get a reply from Prabhupada. So I decided I was going to run away. And I had this idea in my mind, because I was so materially attached, that I would take some of my material belongings along with me to the temple. I didn't have it thought out very well. I wasn't very experienced. I didn't think what the outcomes would be or anything. So anyway, I packed a box full of things, and one of the things was my tape recorder. And at something like 3 o'clock in the morning, I started sneaking down the stairs with this big cardboard box on my shoulders. And my parents knew something was up. So my father heard the stairs creaking, I guess, and he opened the door to his bedroom and started chasing me down the stairs. He was furious. And so I turned around with this cardboard box, this huge cardboard box, and I threw it onto the staircase between him and me. And when I threw it, the tape recorder inside, which had a tape of Srila Prabhupada in it, went off. It pressed the start button, and the volume was really high. And Prabhupada came out chanting. It was that one with the Hare Krishna mantra, and it's really fast and really loud, and it was going, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it just became so dramatic, you know. And I just ran down the stairs, and I felt like Prabhupada was speeding me on, you know. And I opened the front door. Somehow or other, the front door was not locked, so I managed to open the door, and I left the house, and it was pitch black outside, 3 o'clock in the morning. All I had, I didn't have any of my material possessions. I just had the clothes on my back. Didn't even have any money. And somehow I managed to get into London, and I just threw myself on the mercy of the devotees in London, and they helped me. But I really felt Prabhupada's presence there. But then the unfortunate thing was that after being in the temple for 3 months, by this time I was in Germany, I got a reply from Srila Prabhupada. And the reply, as you might imagine, said not to run away from home. And he said that there's no material impediment to Krishna consciousness. And he said, just like Prahlad Maharaj, he had a demoniac father, and he did so many abusive things to him, but still Prahlad was not stopped from being a pure devotee. So he said, stay at home, finish school, and then you'll have so many skills that you can use in Krishna's service. So when I got that letter, I felt really crushed. You know, I felt like I'd really blown it big time, and I was embarrassed and ashamed. And anyway, such was my false ego. I couldn't take an instruction from my spiritual master in the right spirit. But I just, anyway, I wanted to tell people about the letter just so that others can benefit from the instruction that Prabhupada gave, even though perhaps I didn't. But I figured, you know, that Krishna must have had some hand in everything that happened, and things turned out for the best. If I hadn't joined the temple when I did, I wouldn't have been initiated by Srila Prabhupada, perhaps, because by the time I turned 18, who knows, Prabhupada might not have been around. Je anilo